one-on-one. Today we shall be looking at an interesting approach to writing essays for CSEC English B. Right? So all the literature students may benefit from this presentation. We are going to be looking at how to tackle writing your essays for your examination. Welcome again to English One-on-One, where we provide you with pertinent information as to how you can get your distinction. Are you ready? Let's go! At the end of the lesson, students should be able to 1. What should be included in the introductory paragraph of the comparative essay? In the term attention getter and give examples. Write a sample essay and identify the key features embedded in it. Write different aspects of an essay using the given technique. English B comparative essay. Students are required to not only be knowledgeable about the intricacies of a comparative essay, but they are also expected to understand these components so that they may write effective essays for the CSEC English B examination. Comparative essay type questions are given in Section B, the poetry section, and Section C, the prose fiction section, more specifically, short story section. The comparative essay for CSEC English B may take the form of a closed question or an open question. Do you know what a closed question is or an open question? Closed question is one in which students are told the poems or short stories that they should utilize to answer the given question. Were you thinking along these lines? Open question is one in which students may use any two appropriate poems or short stories from the prescribed syllabus to answer the given question. Now that you know the difference between the closed questions and the open questions, are you able to analyze past papers and detect which one is an open question and which is a closed question? Comparative essay questions. Question 1. Conflicts can be internal as well as external. Choose 2 poems which you study that portrayed some form of conflict. For each poem, describe the conflict, comment on how the conflict is treated or addressed, discuss one device that is used to explore this conflict. 35 marks. Question 2. The poems It Is the Constant Image of Your Face and Dreaming Black Boy are confessions of hopes and desires. Outline the hopes and desire that are portrayed in each poem. Discuss the poem which you find more appealing and use evidence from the text to support your choice. For each poem, discuss one device which is used to portray hopes or desires. 35 marks. Which of these 2 questions is an open question and which is a closed question? Can you figure it out? You have stated that question 1 is an open question, then you are indeed correct. And if you have stated that question 2 is a closed question, you are correct. Excellent. Well done. The introductory paragraph of the comparative essay. The introductory paragraph of the comparative essay is essential as it will give the reader or examiner the first impression of you. You know what they say, first impression lasts. However, hence, hence, the introductory paragraph should grab the reader's attention and should contain the following elements. Do you know what these elements are? Is reference to the two poems or short stories that you will be utilized in analyzing the given question. This element, by no means the least element, is a brief outline of the main points that will be elaborated on in the body of your essay. That will literally grab the reader's interest, thus causing the reader to be intrigued. He or she wishes to read on. Attention grabber may take various forms. One such form may be facts or opinions, another rhetorical questions, statistical data, analogies, allusions, and I'm quite sure you know of others. Do you know of other attention getters? Examples of other attention getters? If you do, leave it in the comment section below. Essay based on a past paper question. The question reads, with reference to the poems Test Match Sabina Park and the woman speaks to the man who has employed her son, the persona in each poem had to come to terms with the harsh reality of his or her condition. Explain in details the plight of each persona and how he or she deals with his or her condition or situation. Comment on several lessons that the poet wants us to learn and discuss a device or technique that he or she uses to highlight these important lessons. Are you able to answer this question? Let's see. Do you remember what should be in the introductory paragraph? Introductory paragraph. Sometimes in life we have to accept the fact that some of our hopes or desires may never materialize. In the poems Tesmat Sabina Park and The Woman Speaks to the Man Who Has Employed Her Son, the personas have to concede that what they had envisioned would never be realized. Their aspirations or wishes would be mere dreams. The poets Stuart Brown and Lorna Goodison, respectively, use a variety of techniques to showcase this. Do you remember what should be in the introductory paragraph? Let's add the sample introductory paragraph to see whether or not it had adhered to the guidelines of writing an effective introductory paragraph. Now, sometimes in life we have to accept the fact that some of our hopes or desires may never be materialized. Now, right there, you would notice that the writer started with an attention getter, and in this case, the attention getter is in the form of an opinion. Yes, you guessed it. Yes, it is an opinion. Sometimes in life we have to accept the fact that some of our hopes or desires may never materialize. And this opinion can be, of course, proven to be so or not so. Because as you know, an opinion is someone's personal belief or perspective on a given topic or subject matter. right, which may or may not be proven to be true, right? But of course, the writer began with an attention getter. Now let's look at the second sentence. In the poems Test Match Sabina Park and the woman who speaks to the man who has employed her son, the persona had to concede that what they had envisioned would never be realized. Their aspiration or wishes would be mere dreams. No, for that sentence, we see where two things are done. One, we saw the reference to the two poems, right? So we know off the bat that the examiner doesn't have to spell or guess which poems you'll be utilizing because it is clearly stated here, right? And then the next point that we have seen in green is that there's a brief outline as to the main points that will be discussed in the body. Personas have to concede that what they had envisioned would never be realized, and we know right there that in the body of the essay, the person is going to discuss what are these dreams that were never realized, okay, right, and were considered mere dreams. Then it says the third sentence is the poets Stuart Brown and Lorna Goodison respectively. Now you know why they use respectively, right? Because Test Match Sabina was mentioned first, so we know that Stuart Brown is in reference to Test Match Sabina, and of course Lorna Goodison is in reference to the woman who speaks to the man who's employed her son. So we know that the respectively there shows that the order in which the poems are stated, okay, right? So the poet Stuart Brown is in reference to Test Match Sabina Park, and Lorna Goodison is in reference to the woman who speaks to the man who has employed her son. Respectively, use a variety of techniques to showcase this. So we are prepared here for a discussion of the techniques that will also be utilized by these poets. All right, so how would you rate this introductory paragraph? How much would you give it out of 10? Right? Is it 10 out of 10? Right? Or I should dare say 8 or 7 or 6. It's up to you, right? How would you rate this introductory paragraph? Right? And you notice that the paragraph doesn't have to be long. The introductory paragraph should be short and spicy. It should be clear, concise, and coherent in the sense that you're going to utilize some of the what we call transitional expressions in order to hold the paragraph together, right? And so you're seeing some of these here, right? I hope that you found this information beneficial. The second paragraph of the sample essay. In the poem Test Match Sabina, the persona had envisioned that the English cricketers would have defeated the West Indies cricketers. As a result of this, he strutted into Sabina Park, proudly wearing the rosette of his skin. This suggests that he was overconfident and very assured of victory. However, his expectation was unfulfilled because it was evident that the English cricketers were playing rather lacklustre. Consequently, he had to fabricate excuses for their poor performance. In a bid to escape the ridicule of the West Indies spectators, the persona quietly left the arena behind a tarnished rosette. While in the poem the woman speaks to the man who has employed her son, the the boy's mother, had to face the harsh reality of the fact that what she had envisioned for her son would never be realized. In the poem, she had set no ceiling for what he would have become. Earth Elo, pilot, take wings. But instead, her son aligned himself with an unscrupulous individual who gives him one old submachine gun. This mother believed that if you live by the gun, then you shall die by it. So she prepares for the day when he will draw his bloody salary. Though she was very disappointed that her son who was her beacon of hope, did not live up to her expectation, she had to come to terms with that reality. In each of the poems, there are many lessons that the poets want us to learn. In the poem Tesmat Sabina Park, we can learn that though it is important that we are confident, we must never be overtly confident to the point where we are pompous and underestimate anyone. Additionally, we, the readers, may learn that pride goes before a fall. Hence, it is important that we are humble in all our doings. In teaching us these lessons, the poet uses irony in that the persona struts into Sabina Park, assured of victory, but in the end, he had to sneak out, concealing a tarnished rosette. Similarly, in the poem, the woman speaks to the man who has employed her son. We can learn that we must always expect the best, but prepare for the worst, so that if the worst comes, we are able to cope. Although the mother had high expectations for her son and was somewhat disappointed when he did not fulfill these aspirations, she had prepared herself for his inevitable death. She did not live in denial. She faced the truth of her reality. Again, the poet uses situational irony as the mother's hopes or desires for her son were not achieved. The sample essay, which is the concluding paragraph. These poems have taught us that life is uncertain. Therefore, in order to cope with harsh situations or conditions, we must be willing to accept good and bad outcomes. Following questions to tackle. Question 1. Conflicts can be internal or as well as external. Choose two poems which you have studied that portray some form of conflict. For each poem, describe the conflict. Comment on how the conflict is treated or addressed. Discuss one device that is used to explore this conflict. Question 2. The poems It is the constant image of your face and Dreaming Black Boy are confessions of hopes and desires. Outline the hopes and desires that are portrayed in each poem. Discuss the poem which you find more appealing and use evidence from the text to support your choice. For each poem, discuss one device which is used to portray the hopes or desires. I trust that you have found our discussion on how to tackle the essays, the comparative essays, helpful, and that you'll use the guides given, right? Look at each paragraph, look at how they were expressed, right? Look at the questions given, note the key terms in the given questions so as to avoid misinterpretation. Remember, for all questions, you are expected to have an introductory paragraph, right? You know what should be in the introductory paragraph. You should have the body and the conclusion, right? So you would have an introductory paragraph, at least 2 to 4 body paragraphs, and your concluding paragraph. Okay, so you're looking at roughly 5 or 6 paragraphs, right, for your essay. So note the key terms. Conflicts can be internal or external. Choose two poems which you have studied that portray some form of conflict. For each poem, describe the conflict, comment on how the conflict is treated. So what I would do, I would have my introductory paragraph, and for each poem, I would describe the conflict. Then I would comment on how the conflict is treated or addressed. Then I will discuss one device that is used to explore this conflict in each poem. And then I'll have my concluding paragraph. For the second question, the poems "It is a constant image of your face" and "Dream Black Boy" are confessions of hopes and desires. Outline the hopes and desires that are portrayed in each poem. Again, I'll have my introductory paragraph first. Then I would outline the hope and desires that are portrayed in each poem. Right? Then I will discuss the poem which I find more appealing and use evidence from the text to support why I've chosen this poem in particular, right, versus the other poem. For each poem, I will discuss again one device which is used to portray hopes or desires, and then I'll have my concluding paragraph. I trust that you found this information beneficial.